We are here with Interim Superintendent of Schools, John Reed. How did the first day of the 2013-14 school year go?
Well, by all reports, people were exceedingly pleased. And this isn't to say that there wasn't a glitch here or a glitch there. I think when you have over 5,000 students and live in a town of 63 square miles relative to transportation, but I think the overwhelming feeling was one of satisfaction, pride, and perhaps a tad of relief that the day went as well as it did. That I was in 5 schools yesterday and one so far today, and I'll be in the 7th school after I leave here, and it's been uniform. And the important thing for me is you expect to see smiling faces. And granted, some kids are apprehensive, particularly younger ones, about starting a new school and not knowing people. But it's also equally important to me to see smiling faces on the teachers, because I think there's a relationship between smiling faces of kids and smiling faces of teachers. And I saw a lot of very happy people.
As far as transportation, how did everything go on the first day?
Well, I think given that it was the first day, and I had sent a communication talking about that in my 20 years here, there'd never been a time when the buses weren't going to be a little late. And that's understandable because the bus drivers haven't practiced the routes under real life conditions. Kids getting on and off the buses, more traffic in the morning now that school started. So each day there'll be a gradual improvement. I thought that it went well. They actually were closer to being on time than I anticipated that they would be. And I expect when I get the daily report today to see improvement. So again, there's going to be progress we'll make, but given the perspective of the first day, we had it's always challenging. There are a lot of last-minute changes. People will decide that they want to send a child someplace for daycare, and the bus will get changed, or late registrants. So you're going to have a couple of kids here and there who get on the wrong bus, and people could say, well, part of it's how much you have to get them boarded. I mean, you could really slow it down. I think we have a handle on why that happened, and it was a small number of kids, but in reality, if one kid ends up on the wrong bus, and we understood it, they were brought back. It wasn't people were left on the bus at the end of the day kind of stuff. But those little things, that's why I say, you'll probably never hear me say in any kind of comment I make about anything I'm associated with, we've done everything possible, because I think that's a standard that is virtually impossible as a human being to meet. So I think we put in a lot of hard work, and I think the hard work paid off.
Did you get to go into any of the kindergarten classes? How was full day kindergarten going?
Well, yes, I was in a couple of kindergarten classes, and given the newness of this to the kids and to the teachers, that's going to be an evolutionary experience, just given the length of time. I think that's the thing that probably some parents and we are probably somewhat concerned about, just taking somebody from the summer where they may have been able to take a respite or a break or even a nap if that was something desired. And it's just the length of the day. The end of the day, I would have been at Sandy Hook, and I did peek in or step into a kindergarten class, and the kids didn't seem to lack for energy, and so I think from that perspective, and again, anytime you have a new undertaking, I'm just always candid about how much you have to learn in any endeavor. I think that's normal. It's called continuous improvement, and we've been planning for this for a significant period of time. We have new staff members who are joining us this year who are part of the kindergarten team. So I think the program will be a very successful one, and I always also would acknowledge that while I think the overwhelming majority of parents lobbied and wanted this program, there are other parents who would prefer to have their kids home, and it's a compromise, and we're asking their cooperation and understanding, because one of the savings components to this was the elimination of the middle of the day bus run, and so it's difficult to meet everybody's needs to the point where they feel their concerns were the primary focus around which a decision was made. And I think on this, the fact that so many districts in the area have it, the new standards that are coming out that we're going to have to meet in kindergarten, which I think we felt would be very difficult, if not impossible, to meet in a 2.5-hour session. And the other fact that I've talked about with what's happening with population in the northeastern part of the United States, we're really competing for residents, and this is sort of a new phenomenon. In the 90s, it was sort of you build it and they will come. And for those of us that want to have a vital, energetic, multi-generational town, it's important that we put our best foot forward, and I think this also helps. There are an awful lot of 4, 5, 6-bedroom homes in Newtown, and my guess would be that in the main, people with families and younger kids will be buying those homes. So I think there are a variety of reasons for us to be overt, aggressive in trying to position ourselves to say, hey, we're Newtown, we think it's a great place to live, come and learn about us, and we know a big part of what they're interested in learning about for those people with children or who are going to be having children is the school system.
Dr. Reed, is there anything you want parents to know about this coming school year?
Well, I think the SERVE grant, people have heard a lot about that. It was submitted to the federal government in response to helping us meet the needs of the events of December. And I think the community will see a difference. The SERVE grant wasn't approved until April. We've done a lot of hiring related to that. We just hired a director for the SERVE grant the other evening. I think up until that time we had hired about 13 other people over the summer, guidance counselors, school psychologists, social workers. And I think we've had time to develop protocols and learn from last year. So I expect, whether it's Sandy Hook School, which certainly has a level of support that is a bit different for a lot of obvious reasons than other schools, but the beauty of the SERVE grant is that we have extra personnel trained who will be in all of our 7 schools helping us continue on the road forward, and I feel good about that. And a lot of work has gone into job interviews and looking for the right individuals. I also, without jumping all around, we all know we're looking for a new superintendent of schools. There'll be a press release issued very shortly. It'll be the first of many. It'll talk about in a broad way the multiple focus groups for a lot of different categories of people in the community, elected officials, parents, people who have an interest in the community but don't belong to a particular group or activity. And the purpose of these groups is to seek out feedback and hopefully some consensus on the traits and characteristics that are important to the town in the new superintendent of schools. This search will be done in phases. The first phase could be successful. It really will begin presently. The job is already posted on CAVE's website, and over the next 2 weeks it'll be circulated nationally. The closing date is October the 31st. So interviewing will be going on in the end of October into the first part of November. And should that be successful, then there's a possibility that a new superintendent would be appointed sometime toward the end of November. We're doing this, the board and the consultant, and what help I can be, to make sure that we're not pressured into feeling we have to make a decision. So if that is not successful, then we'll be right back out in January with phase 2, a more traditional time period, with the appointment taking place in March and the person joining us in June.